Hi sir,
Hello.
good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Introduce ourselves first. Myself, I'm Sethu. So we are
Okay.
Tegi's architecture students, final year, final sem. So we
Okay.
are doing this assignment purpose for subject professional studies. So this
All
task
right.
is actually we need to interview like an AR about his companies and profile, background and everything. So I'll
Okay.
just introduce my team members. Next one will be Lee.
Yeah, I'm Lee.
And then I'm Sinji.
All right, sir.
Okay.
So we just straight go for the first question, sir.
Before that, what was the expected outcome from the interview?
It's actually like we need to know about the company's history a bit. How many years you are working as an AR, like how many projects you have done, and all the things.
All right. Understood.
At the end, maybe you can share us your your project pictures and just like company pictures and few of pictures left to just make it as a report, compile as a report.
Okay. Sure. Can.
All right, Another. All right, sir. So the first question, like, can you talk about your company's history briefly, sir? Like your company's history and background.
All right. Basically, Lee Lin Zhi Architect, which is AEA, is actually started in 2018. Quite recent. We are about 2 years old company. So we don't have actually a completed project yet. So everything is still under construction or just quite recently appointed. So we have at the moment about 5 to 6 staff, technical, some are working on a freelance basis or contract terms lah. So we don't really work on the permanent basis because at the moment it's very hard to get to commit for permanent staff. So we at the moment hire those who want to retrench or say was looking for part-time jobs, basically something like that, or those are really commit doing a job for us, then we appoint them on that basis.
Right.
So previously, I was working with few companies, namely like a consultant, a private company. I went to also have experience with government sector in JKR, and I had experience as the developer and also a project management consultant. So our experience is not just as a consultant per se, as an architect, but various type of field. So that's all from the introduction of the company.
So the second question is like, what type of architectural practice that your company is like currently doing it? Like any partnership, anybody cooperating or something?
Okay, good question. At the moment, I have a sole prop, which is Ar Azwar Architect, and then I have a multidisciplinary practice. If you're familiar with it, okay? So MDP is actually a company where you have more than one services other than architects. So in that MDP, we have engineers, and many engineers and structure engineer. And I also have currently applying with LAM for a partnership practice. So that one will be somewhere next year. Now it's already November, so quite rugi lah kalau I apply sekarang. So we have to apply for the next year so that we don't have to renew that soon.
So move on to the third question. Now, what type of projects that your company have involved in? Like, is it residential or commercial?
I think I would like to share my website. Okay. So if you can screen my website. So at the moment we have a few projects. So these are actually type of buildings that we are engaged. At the moment we have mixed use type of buildings. We have ID work. We also are currently doing some institutional project. So we have affordable housing projects currently launching maybe next year. And commercial buildings, shop lots, Pemutihan is actually some project that we do for completed buildings, but currently was compound by local authorities. So we call it Pemutihan projects. We have several, some with resorts, some with religious building, and we have a new religious building as well, like surau and masjid lah, small masjid.
Okay.
And what's unique also we have 3D photogrammetry building survey, which is I'm not sure if you heard of it before. You can look at the website later. So you can actually it's a method survey a building. It's not just by using conventional way, using measure tapes or lasers. We're using more advanced technology. We use like a a Google Map camera, if you
Oh,
understood. So those kind of camera that we're using. So when we capture a building, if you click here, so I did talk about it a few months ago. So this how
Okay.
we collect data. So it's accurate compared to you use normal ways lah. So there's a
Mhm.
so those are actually at the moment our services to a client.
oh, okay.
Okay.
So out of this type of project, which type of project that you prefer to do more? Like which one is your favorite one?
Any project is actually as long the client pays. The type of project is not it's not to us up to us to select. To ni. It's how the client react to our design or ni, and our services. If they're happy with it and they pay, so I think all projects are ni lah. Kan?
Your
There are few perks lah. If you're doing like residential building or private residence, the hassle is there. You have to tackle the units, the the client, the spouse, and the relative, not just the paymaster. But the satisfaction designing a bungalow is more compared to macam shop house, things like that, because you are hands-on, up to detail of finishes, those wall, where you want to expose your cable or not. Those kind of things are more hands-on. But of course, it's more private resident on small scale. You're not glorified with that, but then you have satisfactions. But if you do more like shopping, shop lots, things like that, so it's easy to get it done, easy to deliver, it's less headache lah. So it's actually not much on the type of project, but much more on the whether it pays or not, or whether it's like the how client react from that.
Yes.
So next question is, we all know that architect is a professional, but why is it architect considered as a professional?
There's a few elements of professionalism that we have to understand actually. There's a four pillars if you know. Um, we will distinguish between professionals and non-professional. Those such a proclaimed professional, like an artist. They said they're professional artists because they can cry at any time. But then doesn't define a professional. Basically, if you understand there are four criteria if you define professional. One, because of if you're an architect, you are governed by act. So as an architect, we are actually architects. Second, you have responsibility. Either is you have contractual responsibility, either you have which is contractual between your client and the contractor, bind the contract between that, or you have social responsibility, right? Meaning say that when you design a building, it has to be safe and sound to the users. For example, social responsibility is actually quite hard to define. For example, as an architect yourself, right? Someday you will design a building, or maybe you will design a building that have stairs, or maybe a drop, right? Imagine there's a child, or even worse, a pregnant lady passing by your stairs, your steps, and fell down. So if she fell down and then she's miscarriage because of your poor design, the fault is on you. So it's your responsibility to design a safe building. Either you have a non-slip tiles, either you have a distinguished, what we call it, color code. I mean, a color, glaring color, so that people understand, people realize there's a step. So it's actually under responsible of an architect. That what makes you also professionals. Right, of course, you have statutory responsibilities. For example, when you design a project, you must not advise something is wrong. Right. For example, when you design building, when you design a house to your client, you must say that this building have to do submissions. You cannot avoid say, okay, you buat dulu, nanti submission kemudian, or you can avoid this one, don't do. So it's wrong for an architect to advise something that is wrong. So as a statutory responsibility, you have to and fourth on the responsibility is actually you have to govern yourself to follow the laws of Malaysia. For example, when you have a contract with someone else, the contract have to be fair as well. You have to follow whatever the government Malaysia enforce to. So you have to follow whatever it is, something like that. So means in our case, it's more on on what we call it more architecture basis. So you have to follow the Architects Act, you have to follow bylaws, you have to follow National Land Code, and also town and country planning act. Those kind of laws that related to an architect.
How do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years.
Yeah.
Right. Basically, during the COVID time, we see a lot of changes in the how clients react to the construction industry and how they. But then it doesn't stop us from grow our business and grow our module. So when we started doing practice, actually there's no COVID yet, but the economy was not that good, right? But now during the COVID, even so with the COVID, people start spending to build a house. So there are change of trend how people spend money to the buildings or to property. We see that there are other things that we might do not see at the moment, so it might be impacted on us. So that's why we have started doing focusing on our 3D photogrammetry surveys. We're also focusing on the pemutihan, those kind of business that is a fast cash but also is relevant to need. But then when we are dealing with something that we don't understand, what we can do now is equip ourselves with more skills. I would like to say macam it's like besarkan jaring. Macam you nak pukat ikan kan, you want to catch fish in the water kan. Some people just pakai pancing, right? Because that's the only tools that you have. Yes, I used to have that pancing only. At the moment, I'm trying to get pukat. I'm trying to buy a new ships. I'm trying to go to deep water. So you have to equip yourself, even though you don't know if there's a fish or not, right? So you have to expand. We are currently expanding our skills on the GBI, on the BIM, on the Revit, on online punya system, so that we can explore more on that manner.
So the last question is, do you have any advice to the architecture student? So any advice? Yeah.
All right. Have you did a practical study before? Practical?
Yeah, I did a internship.
Internship, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you? You guys? How about Sinji?
Yes.
Satu as well. All right. If my advice to those yang coming up from university, do not expect that you will get job as soon as you graduate. Not as easy as we were once before. But what you can do is actually equip yourself with design skills on 3D skills at the moment. It's very hard for a fresh grad to have technical skill, which is understandable. But you can use AutoCAD and Revit, right? So my advice to you, and focus on small skills, small things that you can do, and provide your service as a freelance to architecture company. All right, but do not provide your service to a client. Please don't. When you said that you are being an architect for a bungalow, it means you design a bungalow for a client. You will lose, you will be exhausted. People will turn you around, and there's many ways to treat people on that way. So you don't get yourself cheated with a client. Engage with a company of an architect firm. Offer a freelance service. As simple as buat 3D atau as simple as buat animations. I bet you guys can do. If you enter a company, because of the current situation, it's very hard for you to secure even you're being appointed. So I think you should more equipped in that, get a good computer. You can always work from home because actually you will earn more from there. For example, I'm currently paying for one 3D model for one project about 2,000, delivered in 2 weeks. So you actually can earn more if doing freelance, and then you have your own freedom lah. Always to improve yourself, those kind of skill lah. And yes, again, I will remind you, do not offer an architecture services to a client. That's all. That will kill the market, and that will kill you actually. Right? We are willing to share. If you have any questions or anything about how to practice, if you are given a job and you don't know how to do anything on architecture, you can always text me personally. I work 24/7, weekend as well. Right, so you can text me, no problem lah. Same goes to you, Nizi or Sinji, and Satu lah. Alright.